Hello there, and welcome to Season 15, Episode 31 of the Bitcoin Takeover Podcast. I am Vlad, and my guest today is Ray. And his last name is not CivKit, even though he works on CivKit, and he is the champion of NoOnes, an app that has lots of lions, and somehow all of these lions all eat. But his last name is not Paxful either because he's not affiliated or associated with that business anymore. He is Ray Youssef. He has been on the show one time previously when he spoke about CivKit and the potential that it was going to unlock. Less than 1 year later, he has, I guess, hundreds of thousands of users, if not millions, on NoOnes app. And he keeps on building these P2P networks and marketplaces where users can transact with each other. And he designs them with the third world in mind. He thinks about the Africans who are very much interested to get rid of their fiat shitcoin and they want to use Bitcoin. And this is the starting point of our conversation because, Ray, you made a very controversial statement, which has been quoted in an article last week. And it was that Roger Ver was right. And what's this all about?
That is what I said, isn't it? And I don't regret saying it because clearly something is up. We messed up somewhere along the way. We started this whole journey about freedom money to help the people that really need the help. And I actually went to those people in the far corners of the world where us Americans hardly ever go, like Nigeria, Kenya, Egypt. And I spoke with them and I saw, wow, they really do need this help. They need freedom money. In fact, that's the only thing holding them back. The second they get that, the whole world changes. People get rich. Great. Now we don't believe in freedom money. It's good enough just to have a nice little stock ticker, BTC, or whatever the ETF ticker is, some paper that's going to make us all rich over time, or at least those that got in early. And that's good enough. We don't need freedom money anymore. To me, that's complete and total capitulation. In fact, it gets worse. These guys, it's not just that, people are saying, oh, well, medium exchange will eventually just come along and kind of happen. Don't worry, Ray. Don't freak out. No. Some people are even going against medium of exchange. And I was saying this like a couple of months ago when the ETF was first starting to emerge. And people said, shut up, Ray, you're a conspiracy theorist. Now Michael Saylor, one of the champions of the Laser Eye crew, comes out and says, hey, Bitcoin is a medium exchange. Nah, we don't need that. So the theorizing was on point. What has happened to us? We can't have a medium of exchange. Oh, and by the way, you can't use anything else because they're all shit coins too. We just gave up the whole thing. In fact, we handed them on a silver platter just so the money would go up, number go up in fiat terms. And we see all around us mental gymnastics to explain this all the way. Ray, don't worry. I'm muting you. You're just complaining now. And we're seeing very clearly who's in this just to get rich and who's in this for the revolution, for the mission, freedom money. I didn't get into this thing to help billionaires. They don't need any help. They don't need another store of value. They don't need a transmission network. They're good. Nothing against billionaires. I got some friends that are billionaires. They're actually very nice people. But we don't need to be spending all of this time, all of this power, all of these terabytes, all of this energy to help these guys out. They're good. If they want to be helped out by it, fine. And that's what I meant, brother. And Roger Ver was sounding that siren a long time ago. Was he right about big blocks? I don't think so. I think big blocks are just delaying the inevitable, an imperfect scaling solution. Could it work technically? I think nowadays hard drive space is pretty cheap. People might be able to figure something out. But at the time, there was a lot of anxiety about what Mr. Ver was doing. And there was a lot of people losing money too, because people couldn't tell the difference between Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. So for that point, did not take Roger's side. I actually was quite upset with him because a lot of our users were losing money. I called him out, but then I apologized because I don't think it's gentlemanly. I don't think it's civil for us to character assassinate people. But in defense of the Maxi crew, there was a lot of concern at the time with Roger Ver. They saw it as a corporate hostile takeover, not just a bunch of uppity Bcash people. But you know what? I don't care about any of that stuff. I don't care about the past with the block size wars. But all I do know is that somewhere along the line, Bitcoin got hijacked. Not so much hijacked. Really, we just kind of completely gave up. They managed to get us to give up on freedom money and to explain it away with fancy jargon and links to economics books. And that's disgusting. And by the way, we can't use anything else either, like you said, because those are shit coins. Oh, we have to build L2s. Don't worry, the L2s will take care of it. Great. So we all have to build these super complex L2s right now on Bitcoin to be able to get back freedom money. And hey, I'm not an unreasonable guy. I actually been working on such a project for the past year. It's called CivKit. It's an L2 built around Bitcoin to allow anyone to start their own peer-to-peer marketplace and be able to exchange freely. It uses Tor, Nostr, Lightning, Bitcoin script, and anyone can transact freely and anonymously on a CivKit node as well. You can start your own peer-to-peer marketplace as easy as setting up a WordPress blog. Everyone can compete with me, steal my idea, and we can make this thing happen. So I still haven't given up. I'm working on CivKit. I believe we can do something tremendous with that. But in order to make CivKit really work, we're going to need some changes to the L1. This is Jameson Lopp's point. Covenants are at least a requirement. Any pre-vout didn't make it. But guess what? We've got some friction there too, because we got the ossifiers. Not only are they saying, hey, medium of exchange, we don't need that, but let's totally lock down the protocol. Let's ossify and let's just keep Bitcoin sitting right there, pretty little rock that we can look at and maybe, well, we're never going to sell it. We're supposed to hodl till the very end. So we're just sitting there looking at a pet rock that doesn't really do anything. And if you bring up any of these points that say, you're a Bcasher. I don't support Bcash. I just support Bitcoin. But I'm supposed to be okay with what's happening and keep my mouth shut. You know, it's when this thing really blew up, when I saw them going after you, especially Vlad, I knew you're one of the good guys. I met you. I felt your energy. You actually care. And I saw what's happening here. I was like, man, we have literally been taken over by a cult of religious fanatics that are worshiping Bitcoin. They've essentially done the same thing to Bitcoin that they did to Jesus Christ and Nikola Tesla. Completely muddled the conversation and snipped away any of the power and made us glorify this impotent little rock that is not going to help anyone except those who are already rich. That's bullshit, brothers. We deserve better than that. And I, for one, will never capitulate, no matter how much the number go up. Because guess what? We've got something better than fiat bucks. We have a movement of people that are ready to defy the darkest powers in the world and to hold them by the hand that hurts, to give us an alternative to their broken, corrupted Western circle of finance, which is pure evil. It's the capillary network that powers this whole matrix. We're ready to give the people an alternative, and I will never back down from that. It will happen by any means necessary. But everyone that's listening to this right now, understand, we are in a state of war, and we have lost precious time. And now they're trying to make us accept this and just keep our mouths shut. So what are we going to do? Are we going to battle it down to the last inch in Bitcoin until we get what we want? Or would the people who are extremely talented, bright, leave Bitcoin and go to DeFi, where they can build cool applications without having to deal with any of this bullshit and getting character assassinated by every maxi troll on Twitter? What are talented people going to do? Are they going to stay and throw poop at each other in a swamp? Or are they just going to go someplace else where they can build? What do you think, Vlad?
So let's do a little bit of role play. I'm not sure if you ever watched pro wrestling, but you have these two types of characters. You have the face and you have the heel. Obviously, you're the face, you're virtue signaling, you're saying all the nice stuff right now. Let me play the heel. And let's say, what if you, Ray, are the sucker who bought into the narrative that has been sugar-coated back in 2013 or whenever you got interested in Bitcoin, and it has been pushed just a way to keep regulations away. But the goal was always for the number to go up at any cost, and this was inevitable to get to this point. And to some extent, we are the suckers who try to onboard the third world and those who are financially outside of the banking system. And we make these efforts, and then we realize that we donate it to some people who are not able to spend their UTXOs anymore. And we run into a problem with Dust, and it's a clusterfuck. And we don't really know what to do, obviously. How are you supposed to open a Lightning channel or do whatever when the amount is very low and it barely covers the transaction fee? So, what if this was the plan all along, and everyone who bought into the narrative is just a useful idiot?
Wow. I feel like a useful idiot. Running around Africa and Latin America and the Middle East, trying to show people the power of Bitcoin, how it's going to free us all. Bitcoin, everybody, not crypto. Don't touch those shit coins. I never supported them. I took them off my platform. I never touched any of those. I've been the goodest good boy you could ever imagine, doing the work that no one else wanted to do. And now a bunch of trolls are calling me a shitcoiner anyway, for even daring to question what has happened. This is an attack, gentlemen, and I see it now. And I do feel like a useful idiot, honestly. But I'm still going, brother. And I'm trying to figure out right now between you, me, and all the good guys out there listening to this, what's our next move? What are we going to do? I'm a builder. I'm not an influencer. You know, I actually build real applications. I've done 14 startups in my life. I built them, most of them myself, full stack, market to the people myself. I'm good at finding a problem and solving it. And as a business person now, I have to say, I'm going to have to build on this platform, which is kind of like, you know, fighting in a pigsty or something like that. We're just going to throw poop at each other. We have to beg people, hey, could we just make that one feature happen that allow us to finish this project on L1? Could you guys just do that for me, please? And you know, I promise I'll spend 4 hours every night on Twitter kissing ass and fighting and ripping. I mean, I don't want to do that. It's big enough as a job as it is to completely build an alternative to this financial system that we have on something secure that doesn't have some bogus token out there. And I'm supposed to do this, by the way, with no support from anyone in the Bitcoin community. I'm funding it all myself because, you know, Bitcoiners are so damn cheap. We just hodl. Oh, invest in a new project. No, thanks. No, invest in core developers. Nah, they should do it for free. Fuck them. Meanwhile, there's literally billions of dollars out there in these tokens. This is the message that we send to a builder. It really seems like something we have literally created the most toxic environment for innovation and development imaginable right now. They have overregulated Bitcoin through sheer petty politics, much as they've overregulated whole regions like Africa to keep them poor. They use the same template against us. And man, the way it worked, talk about diabolical. Like, I'm not saying all these people that are on this other side of the narrative are bad, but they are all useful threads in this pattern, this tapestry of deception that has been weaved over the past, 11 years? When did it really start, Vlad? When do you think this sinister plan was first hatched by the powers that be?
Well, I'm not going to tell you when, but I'm going to ask you a question because you're a builder and you're someone who creates products as opposed to just LARP 24/7 on Twitter. And the question is, why don't you use Liquid, right? It's LBTC, it's basically base layer Bitcoin locked into a time lock contract issued on this sidechain-ish, which is more of a federation. Blockstream says they're not going to censor your transactions because they need the quorum of, I think, 3/4, like 75% of Federation members. But I'm not even sure who those are because they have not revealed who the members of the Federation are, the ones that hold keys. So why don't we just give up on using Bitcoin and go on Liquid?
Yeah, then what makes us any different from Ethereum, which basically the whole thing runs on Joe Lubin's infra node, right?
Well, you're not creating monetary inflation, right? You're still using those 21 million coins.
All right, so we're deflationary because we have proof of work instead of proof of stake. Okay, That's something, but sure as hell ain't enough. Are we fully decentralized or not? And these
Well,
federal,
you can run your own node, but it doesn't enforce anything because the Federation members can decide whatever they want, and you're just there validating their blocks. So it
yeah.
makes no sense.
So again, we're back to trusting Adam Back and his friends, and we don't know exactly who those friends are. It could be Mr. Rothschild's node, or maybe, Prince of Darkness himself's
Oh
node.
man, I don't have a tinfoil hat.
I mean, yeah, this is not decentralization. This is the path that will lead to something that is not permissionless. We reject that. That's the very core of this business. I'm a cyberpunk all the freaking way, man. And I like Liquid. I like the people that are in the company. They're very competent. But that's not what I signed up for here, to be beholden to another master. Are we building on something that is completely decentralized or what? I mean, dude, a lot of my friends want me to build on Liquid, and we've looked at it, but we deemed it wasn't up to spec, man, when it comes to actual ethos, right? Great tech, though. But we need to build on something that can never be taken away from us, right? Is that
And
Liquid?
that's the purpose, right?
Yes. Is that Liquid, or are we just going to abdicate to a central corporate power run by a bunch of American VCs, and we're back again to the Silicon Valley white boys thing? No, man. No. I mean, you can see who's funding them on their page. Great company, great product, great team, but that's not Bitcoin, man. We need something completely decentralized here to make this happen. And, look at the things that we've been given. Lightning, an amazing piece of technology, really. But is it useful for retail? No. Even if it didn't have the liquidity problems and the dust issues and the extremely complex, code base, it still can't scale to more than 800 million people. I mean, even that's a stretch, right? I think it's 300 million. I mean, Lightning makes sense as a kind of a Hawala system between big financial institutions, and need to have a stream open for them. They don't care about saving money, but they do care about instant transactions. But it's certainly not a solution for retail because it can't scale and because of the liquidity issues. You need to have double liquidity on both sides. I mean, come on, that's not a solution for retail. So what are we really left with then? Build on L2s. Don't worry. Oh, but we're ossifying the protocol, so the L2 is going to have to work with Bitcoin as it is. And if you use anything else, you're a shitcoiner. We have
Why
no
don't you go
agreement.
full custodial? Wallet of Satoshi, that's fine. It's banned in the US preemptively because they're afraid of regulations. But they haven't rugged anyone, right? So good record means they're gonna be good forever. Isn't that true?
Yeah, right. I mean, look, I've been preaching self-custody for a long time. I'm about to launch a self-custody wallet on NoOnes right now, branded. We're just going to take the Mutiny wallet code and give it to the people. And we're going to spend significant time educating people about self-custody. I've been doing that for the past 10 years. Self-custody is such an important pillar of what we're doing. Next to proof of work, it really is the second most important thing. It is right up there with it. And we're supposed to kind of give that up right now. Yeah, well, it's easy, was it? All right. I'm actually spending the money to educate people about this. But meanwhile, they're trying to take this out of the picture because that's where all this is leading. Back to where we started. That is unacceptable. Unacceptable. Anyone that
We're
accepts
we're
that
not
is
going
weak.
back to where we started because we're getting rich, right?
Yeah, some people are getting rich, but guess what, guys? There's some people in this scene that can make money without Bitcoin. Believe me, man, I'll build anything. I can sell shoes and make money. That's not what this is about. If this is just a train for some mediocre losers to get together and hobble together a revolution, pump this ticker real bad, we're no different than Dogecoin or Shiba Inu. We're essentially a meme token with the promise of financial prosperity that has mobilized a bunch of useful idiots like myself to pump up that number and keep the vibes good. Ray's building schools and helping children. Good for him, stupid fuck. Meanwhile, a lot of these so-called maxis, I know a lot of these guys, bro, they fuck with shitcoins like crazy. They're there peddling all kinds of shit in these WhatsApp alpha trading groups. And then they're coming on here shitting on everyone else. It's despicable, man. There's so many fake people in this scene. But you, Vlad, are real. And you have my full respect. When I met you, I knew you were a real dude. You're not afraid. You're actually going for things like a real journalist. And when real journalists come under attack like this, it's despicable. It shows you that the people doing this are bullies, and it's not fucking cool. I will always defend real journalism, even if I don't like what you say. And the fact that you're digging and they're just coming at you with knives drawn like that, that's exactly what the bad guys do. That's their template 100%. If you ever want to figure out who the good guy is in any particular situation, just look at who everyone is attacking. It's a good job, Vlad. The young count has done well for himself in that respect.
Thank you, sir, but I'm going to argue that these people are not real people. They're cartoon characters, and the fact that they have cartoon avatars should be more revealing, and it should make us think about the fact that they're not reasonable human beings. Interacting with them on Twitter is not anything like talking to a real person. They have this one idea about what Bitcoin is and what Bitcoin should be, and they push that and they push that, and they create what Michael Saylor described as the hive mind. They have the same ideas, uniformity all across the board. Nobody steps out of line. Whenever someone has any kind of different thought, they're not going to think about nuance. They're not going to consider maybe that he is not necessarily right, but presents something that wasn't taught previously in their minds. They just see it as an attack. And they react accordingly, and they say, this guy is a scammer, this guy is a shitcoiner. Stay away from him, don't listen to him, block him. Everyone who's following me, block this guy, don't listen to him. He's trying to, I don't know, he got paid by Roger Ver. That was the ugliest of insults that I received. Because honestly, I never asked anyone for money. You can confirm this, Ray. This is your second time on the show. I'm actually chasing people. I'm messaging them all the time. I'm chasing Jeff Garzik right now and trying to understand what happened with Segwit 2x. And I just have my own curiosities, Maybe that my interviews don't turn out to give people what they want or what they expect. But then again, what's their investment in this? Because they don't, as you said, your projects are not funded by the community, and my podcast is not funded by the community. They don't really send out donations. It's very rare that this happens. And I just follow my own curiosities, and I'm happy that people listen. This is my approach. I don't try to please the crowd. I don't try to be someone's spokesperson, I'm my own guy. I just do this because I think it's interesting. And I get people who I think are interesting, or whom I think are interesting, and ask them questions. If the questions that I ask are not the ones that people want me to ask, that's their problem. It's not mine. And my podcast is also not a court of law, because people expected me to point to Roger all the accusations that were brought up against him. Well, first of all, I only have one-sided information because I don't know his side on the situation, and that's not what I want to find out from him. The way that I see Roger right now is that he's the anti-Michael Saylor. And I think that people blame me right now for bringing him back and shining the spotlight on him once again. And right now he's trying to make bets with Adam Back and Tone Vase like it's 2017. And they blame me for that because he's back. But I think that he is a worthy gladiator in this arena. And I don't agree with him 100%. But I think that opposites, different points of view, that battle are beneficial for us. I think the last time we got this kind of environment, we got Segwit and the Lightning Network. And they were not enough in the long run, but they were good enough for the time. So I think we're just pushing people to become creative and find a solution that's going to make us compromise maybe. Find something that makes people relatively happy, but not stagnate. I think that's the biggest threat to the Bitcoin project, to not build anything anymore and give up on any hopes, because we have ETFs and those are the scaling layers, right? You should not be transacting using the Bitcoin network. You just direct your pension fund and your 501k or whatever Americans have to Bitcoin ETFs, and you can live happily ever after because the number's going up no matter what. Or I don't know. I like to think that Bitcoin has a price that's high right now because people are positive on Bitcoin delivering on the promise of the project, which was to create a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. The digital gold, as we were told, is just a phase. It's just, There was this debate in 2017, which one comes first, the store of value or the medium of exchange. I disagree with Roger in the sense that he believes that people want to store the money that they spend. I come from Romania. My parents lost all of their savings. Their parents lost their savings. Their parents' lost their savings. It's a generational situation here where the government fucks you with the money. So I understand the store of value function, but I don't want this to be a pet rock. And that's where the nuance is, and that's where these cartoon characters don't seem to find the click point, or maybe that they do in person, but on Twitter they're not reasonable. And they block me and they say stuff about me. And it's fine, because now I see who they really are. I know some of them in person. I know that guacamole zucchini guy in person. I hung out with him. I thought he was my friend, and he smelled blood and he drew blood the moment that he had the opportunity. I know Hodlonaut. I supported him. I raised funds for him. I don't want to say how much. I'm not implying that he owes me anything except for just a message to say, hey man, what's happening? I know you. I know you're a good guy. We did this previously 5 years ago. Let's talk. But he hasn't done that. He saw some opportunity to create more engagement and more drama. He did that. So yeah, one-dimensional cartoon characters. That's what we have. Super Marios that do nothing but present one idea. And whenever you challenge it, you're a shitcoiner.
We're heretics. It really has devolved into a religion, and we have this, guard of inquisitors that are ready to flail anyone that steps out of line. Oh, peer-to-peer electronic cash? Oh, you must be this, that, or something else horrible, whether you're a Bcasher, a scammer, a shitcoiner, Roger Ver fanboy. Like, it's disgusting. Like, they have literally sucked all the oxygen out of the room, and no one worth a damn is going to sit there and fight in this toxic environment. What are we supposed to do now? Fight for the soul of Bitcoin by engaging these trolls on Twitter every day? It's not going to happen. Either we capitulate too, or we just pull away and do our own thing. Whether that means joining a community like Bcash, trying to somehow salvage it with an L2, or going into DeFi. That's what people are going to try and do. So let's talk about how to salvage this with L2, because I'm a builder. I just want to get to the point where we actually have freedom money. I completely reject, hey, as long as we're better off than just everyone else, that's fine by me. That's the blue pill. I don't want any more blue pills. I want to wake this thing up. So what am I going to do? Really, what's going to happen now is that eventually all these L2s, if they're really trying to accomplish the mission, are going to become L1s. We might have a bridge to Lightning. We might have a bridge to Ethereum, Solana, whatever, to accomplish the mission. But essentially, we're going to have to come in there and fill the space that Bitcoin could not. And the Bitcoiners are just there calling everyone else a scammer and a shitcoiner. They're calling Stack shitcoiners. They're calling these guys shitcoiners. I mean, and how are we going to fund ourselves when the Bitcoiners are so damn cheap? They don't want to send any money anywhere. People are going to go off and do tokens, and then we'll just have Bitcoin being a bunch of, old men yelling at the sky, cursing everyone out. Okay, great, but what about my savings, bro? I'm one of those guys that loves to keep all his money in Bitcoin because I'm a long-term hodler. Now, of course, I'm not ashamed to take profit when I need to, but I wanted to buy my mama a nice house for a while. All that Bitcoin that I've got, knowing what I know this. If Bitcoin loses its potential as a medium of exchange, the price will be in serious jeopardy because we'll essentially be at the mercy of these people that run fiat. Like $60,000 for one Bitcoin. Oh, yeah, we kept those guys happy for a while, but now the whole thing's dismembered anyway. Fuck it, let's just crash the price. Just like they can crash the price of the Romanian money and destroy your mama's life savings. They did the same thing to Egypt. Guess what? Because these shadowy super bankers control price discovery. They control price discovery. It is a superpower they have that they can keep the price of something with a market cap as big as gold artificially suppressed with a few paper shorts every day on the London stock market, gold market. And they can do the same thing to Bitcoin. They have that power. They can punish every country in the world by destroying their currency because they control price discovery. I keep saying this, and people just don't understand how important it is. If the smarter you are, the more that point will resonate with you and set off your spidey sense. If we give up on medium of exchange for Bitcoin, we will lose everything, including that $70,000. They'll just drop it down to whatever. Why should they keep it up? Why? Because a lot of them bought it. Man, what happens if Michael Saylor decides just to dump his Bitcoin overnight because they got a new CFO? Or any of these ETFs say, hey, we're done with the Bitcoiners. We sucked the life out of them, trying to leave this husk to dry up and blow away. They'll do the same thing to Bitcoin that they're going to do to the United States, that they're doing to the United States. It only exists to destroy Russia, China, and then itself, and then it can just blow away and die. You think they're somehow going to honor our little Bitcoin pet rock because they don't want to hurt our feelings? Man, the only people that shadowy super bankers treat worse than their enemies are their friends or their useful idiots. We will not get that pat on the head. We'll lose everything in Bitcoin. We'll lose proof of work. We'll lose the price. We'll lose it all in time. And that time might come a lot sooner than any of us can imagine, because these next 6 years are going to see the biggest upheavals in world history. But if you go on Twitter, that's it, Ray, I'm muting you. You're just complaining is all. You can shut up. You're just a conspiracy theorist. Blah, 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 blah. Everything's fine. Is everything fine, Vlad?
I do remember, oh my god, it's golden hour here, so I have to change the settings in my camera. Anyway, I do remember a few years ago when El Salvador announced that whole legal tender situation, and I was skeptical. I said, how can they pull this off? And they were like, oh, you're such a bear, Vlad, you're raining on everyone's parade, we have the First Nation accepting Bitcoin and blah, blah, blah. And it turned out to be super custodial and very controlled, with a lot of KYC, a lot of capital restrictions. It's not the freedom money that we expected, but it pumps our bags. It adds up to the narrative. We say, oh, we have the Bitcoin nation right now. We have this hope that has been brought onto an entire country in Central America. And I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying the way in which it was made is very fake. It doesn't enable, I mean, maybe it enables immigrants, people who decide to settle there and buy their passport. It gives them a greater degree of freedom than in their previous country, maybe, because they're in a privileged position. They live in this tropical paradise where everything looks nice and they get to see how a nation gets built. But is this really what we came for? Maybe some people are happy with this, but I'm not. Anyway, I'm at a point where in this debate between medium of exchange and store of value and the fact that Bitcoiners don't really fund their own projects and we have to look up for sponsors, I have to present two of my sponsors. If you are a spender, try Wasabi Wallet. Go to wasabiwallet.io, download the wallet, mix your coins, get better privacy for your coins, and then you can spend them with the buy anything button. Where you press that, you have a command line terminal, you say, hi, I want to order a MacBook Pro for whatever reason. And someone's going to say, oh, would you like the 1 terabyte model with 16 gigabytes of RAM and the M3 Pro processor? And they're going to say, yeah, that's good enough. Deliver it to this storage. And they're going to send it, you pay with your private Bitcoin, and you have this very beautiful way of using privacy with Bitcoin. So there's no more FUD that you're gonna get on exchanges and they're gonna look up your ass to see what else you got there because they're skeptical and privacy gets a bad name. They managed to pull this off to make privacy work for a real use case. But if you're into hodling, go to hodling.ch, because if you have a lot of Bitcoin, they can help you with consultancy on how to set up multi-sigs, how to use hardware wallets, and everything else that you may not be able to do by yourself, so that you can hodl for the long term and make Michael Saylor proud and happy. Michael Saylor said he was gonna die with his Bitcoins. I think you can only prove that if you burn your Bitcoins, which he hasn't. But if you do want to hodl on the long term and you plan to spend at some point in the future, and you're not technical, so you're afraid of downloading Electrum to set up your own multi-sig with your own devices, go to Hodling.ch. They're Swiss, they have their privacy laws, which are more permissive. You can do some stuff that you can't with companies like, I don't want to give any names, maybe Casa. Casa is in a much more regulated environment where I don't think they grant you the same amount of privacy, but they're pretty cool. Check them out. So hodling.ch and wasabiwallet.io. And thank you, Ray, for sitting through my ads.
Not a problem, brother. As you were talking, I had a vision. I had a vision of Link from Legend of Zelda. You remember the first Zelda game? You have to...
I have it on my NES.
Yeah, you remember what you had to do? You had to unite the Triforce. It was split up and you had to unite the Triforce. Then you got the Master Sword and you had to kill Ganon. It kind of feels like that, bro. Bitcoin is a Triforce and it's been split up into, say, 3 pieces. You know, and they took the Bitcoin, they split it up, and they said, hey, Mr. Michael Saylor, you can have this whole corporate, you know, pet rock pension fund angle here. And hey, you know, Tether and Tron, you can have the whole medium of exchange angle over here. And Blockstream here, you can have the whole infrastructure angle here. Maybe you can make some money off of that with all the other useful idiots. And Bitcoin is not Bitcoin anymore. It's split up into 3 pieces, running in different directions. And who's got medium of exchange? Justin's son and the Tether guys. I still don't know how that company is still running. And Uncle Sam hasn't taken it down yet. And I'm looking at all this. I'm like, bro, we're not stupid, man. It took us some time to wake up. We gave people the benefit of the doubt. But it's clear to anyone now with a functioning brain, they have taken Bitcoin and they have shattered it into at least 3 pieces. The more they want to balkanize Bitcoin, the better they think it's for them. So we don't have the Bitcoin revolution anymore. It has officially been broken. Is it worth it for us to try to unite this again? Is that even possible? What, by arguing with Twitter trolls all day? I don't want to do that. I got better things to do with my time, bro. I can make a lot more money somewhere else. But I'm not just interested in the money. I'm interested in fixing the biggest problem in the world. So where does that leave me, folks? Where does that leave all the people like me? What are we going to do now? Vlad, is there a direction, sir?
So with your metaphor about the Triforce and Link and the Legend of Zelda, I remembered about a tweet of mine, which I posted a couple of days ago, and I said, so I don't want to mess this up, the CEO of BlackRock is Larry Fink, and I said less Larry Fink and more Larry Flint. You know Larry Flint, right?
Isn't he a porn star or the owner of some...
No, the creator of Hustler magazine.
Oh, yes.
He was
yes.
a First Amendment guy. He fought in courts of law to be able to have freedom of expression. And I think that's beautiful. I don't care for what purpose he did this. He wasn't harming anyone. It respects this principle of do no harm. And I think it's beautiful. It's poetic. It's kind of funny how the 2 names are kind of similar. Larry Fink and Larry Flint.
Yeah, that one's going to have to grow on me a little bit, but I see your points. And I'm looking at the whole field right now as a general on the field, and I'm like, man, for us to wade into that battle, like it's not possible to really win that battle by trying to save this thing. Like it's clear the builders are just gonna have to build. Bitcoin will just be a bridge, and it's not going to be the only thing because it can't possibly complete the mission. These guys want to keep it as a store of value. All right, well, you can. They want to ossify. It looks like they're winning, bro. Trying to de-ossify it, what are we going to have to do? Get all the miners to be on our side? Man, that's going to be a lot of elbow grease, man. And I just want to build. Who out there is going to do that? I'm trying to figure out our next move, but it's pretty clear what's happened. No one with a functioning mind can deny this now. Correct?
Yeah, and someone in the chat said that I look like Obi-Wan in Afterlife. It's just that there's a lot of sunlight at this time of the day.
Well,
in
we're
my
both
room.
Jedi, my good man. And we're looking at a situation right now, bro, where the Empire has corrupted the Rebel Alliance. And now there's just a small group of us real Jedi with an army of scattered plebs around the world. And we have to take this thing back or build a new base somewhere else. And Bitcoin just becomes an ossified legacy protocol that maybe we can somehow hook into this store of value with for however long that lasts, because I truly believe it will not last long. If we give up on medium of exchange, we will lose everything. And it might happen a lot sooner than anyone thinks. That's the truth. You can quote me on that, because that will come to pass 100%. You know, I was the guy saying 10 years ago that Africa was going to lead Bitcoin cryptocurrency adoption. Everyone laughed. Now it's happening, and it's only accelerating. This will come to pass as well. There's no way it can possibly not, unless somehow you want to trust your life savings with the same shadowy super bankers that got us into this mess in the first place. Just hodl until that grave completely encroaches upon your mortal coil and you're just ash with some private keys backed up somewhere. Maybe. When you think about it, it's not just capitulation. It's literally humiliation. It's kind of the same thing they've done to the white man in general. They've managed to humiliate him in the worst possible way. He's essentially breeding himself out of existence now. And that's essentially what they've done to Bitcoin as well. It is diabolical, my good man. It truly is. Those who are spiritually awake will understand this. And for the rest of you all, well, you're not going to make it. You better get wise real quick, son. I don't know what to say, bro. I keep, as a builder, I keep trying to find a solution around this. Can I make this happen diplomatically? I'm a good diplomat. But I'm like, man, why should I, bro? Why the fuck should I waste my mind space, man? I'd rather go and read some books and build some shit and make some money for everyone and accomplish the dream. And that's what I'm going to do, bro, with NoOnes app. I'm telling you here right now, from what I've seen here, I can't just be Bitcoin only anymore. It doesn't make any sense because it's not going to solve the biggest problem in the world, the problem that I have set my life to solving, because no one else seems to have the fucking balls to do so. And I'm supposed to just accept this and just use Bitcoin and nothing else when I know it's a dead end? No freaking way, man. In fact, you know, some of these Bitcoiners like Hodling.ch, he's like, Ray, just use BCH. I'm like, really? You want me to add BCH? He's like, yeah, it's fine. Well, okay. I guess I really was just a useful idiot all this time. Depressing, isn't it? Disappointing. Real men shouldn't allow themselves to be depressed. But we are often disappointed. Are you disappointed, Vlad?
Oh, you're asking me if I'm disappointed? This situation sucks. I've been part of a campaign to destroy me. And I realize it not only that it's unfair, but they're not reasonable in their arguments. Because, okay, you're going to have this base layer that ossifies. Maybe. I don't know. I hope it doesn't. But if it ossifies, then allow something else to exist alongside it. It's not going to be as compliant. It's not going to be as solid. It's going to undergo more changes. But maybe is going to solve another existing issue, but they're going to say, no, use liquid. Well, nobody wants to trust the Federation. The reason why we got here in the first place was because we wanted to hold our own keys, we wanted to be sovereign, we bought into this whole narrative of being a sovereign individual, and I guess we're suckers right now. We are the useful idiots who are promoting ideas that will not work, at least not on Bitcoin, in the context of Bitcoin, trying to be Bitcoin only, and being accused. I mean, the stuff that I heard, Hadlo not photoshopped my face next to Calvin Ayre, or whatever his last name is, and Craig Wright, and said, oh, I'm basically one of them right now. Why? Because I interviewed Roger. I see a disconnect here, because I never funded any of that. If anything, I gave him a lot of money. And I'm not complaining about that. I'm happy about the outcome. It's just that it's not reasonable anymore, the way in which we conduct conversations. And it's vile to some extent. It's destructive. Because what's the mission, really? Is it to make the rich people richer, or is it to solve a real world problem? And if Bitcoin doesn't solve it right now, maybe it was part of the risk. When we decided to have small blocks and stick to this, I understand the technical arguments, but the threat model that was being explained was that altcoins are going to explode and they're going to have more of a use case. I interviewed Charlie Lee a couple of days ago, and I asked him, how is it possible that we have the Lightning Network, which was supposed to make Litecoin obsolete, that is the most used coin for payment on BitPay, and is also super used, I think it's in the top 3, and it's above Lightning on Bitrefill. How does any of this make sense? Because according to the narrative, this is perverse, it should not be happening, but according to the markets and reality, it really is happening. And then if you take a look at CoinMarketCap and you see the amount of tokens out there that were issued on Ethereum, it's scary. It makes you realize, okay, there's a lot that's being built on this. Maybe it's scammy, maybe it's not. It's not up to me to judge right now. But there's a lot that's being built out there, and if you ask me, it should be built on Bitcoin. And I guess this is my perfect transition into another ad, because I'm also sponsored by LayerTwo Labs. I like the way Paul is fighting to get somehow to activate this concept of two-way peg sidechains, which he calls drive chains. He hasn't given up on the idea. It was first introduced by Blackstream. They are the ones that gave up. And the lowest points of this whole advocacy for sidechains was when I interacted with Luke Jr. on Twitter, and he said something along the lines of, at least in the case of Liquid, if someone steals from you, you can go to a court of law and you can sue them. And that was a mind blower for me. I realized, okay, why are we even here? If we don't want to trust actors of the Bitcoin network, miners in this case, and we want to trust courts of law, then the security of the system falls back into the nation state. The nation state basically is responsible for settling disputes on something that's supposed to be cypherpunk. And miners are different in the sense that I can be a miner, you can be a miner. It's all about just buying the right gears and running that with your electricity somewhere where maybe it's profitable, maybe you're doing it just for the mission, but anyone can be a miner. And that's what I'm trying to say here, that we vilified the miners during the scaling wars, but they're the ones that secure the network. So maybe we should be a bit nicer to them, because there's a lot that they can do and they don't. And the guys from Marathon Holdings, they proved to us that they can do that MEV, which means miner extracted value, which is a big threat on Ethereum, but on Bitcoin it has been claimed to not be. But they arranged transactions in a block to draw this beautiful ASCII picture. I'm not sure if you saw that, but it's a sign that there's a lot that they can do, and they have a lot of power. They don't have the hash power, not in a majority yet, but they can do a lot to reorganize transactions and prioritize their own. And yeah, maybe that we should mine. And after we decentralize mining more, maybe we should have real sidechains, because they offer the same user experience as the base layer. So you don't have to educate people as we did with Lightning, showing them, oh, are you a merchant and you want to sell this item for $100? Bad luck, buddy. You need to open a channel and have at least $100 locked so that you can receive this. I think the UX for sidechains and for blockchains in general is a lot nicer. You can just set up a wallet on your phone and you receive as much money as you want and as much as someone is willing to send you. I think that's orders of magnitude better, but we ignore it and we say, no, it's not supposed to scale. If it's a layer 2, it's supposed to work just like the layer 1, which is stupid. You can use, there's a lot of research into pruning transactions and making blockchain smaller. There's no reason to store everything if these are minor enforced. It makes no sense. You can just have one date at a point where you erase the records and you start anew and make sure that everyone keeps their coins. That's something that you can still do. It doesn't mean that it has to scale in the same way that a base layer has to maintain the accounting. You can shut down this sidechain, you can create a new one. There's a lot that you can do, but for the average person, they should be able to just have their phone, download one app, and receive money. That's how it should be. That's the vision for banking the unbanked. And they shouldn't care if they're on the base layer or on some sidechain. But they should have custody of their keys, and this is where the major difference is. They should be able to do whatever they want with their money and be able to back up and be able to run this whenever they want. Of course, they can get rocked by the miners if the miners decide to close the sidechain. But it's against the best interest of the miners that want to collect more fees. So it's game theory, once again. It's a solution. I'm not sure if it's the solution, but it's one that I think is reasonable if we don't want to increase the block size, which seems to be the greatest taboo.
You know, there's definitely a bunch of dudes sitting in the think tank somewhere, maybe as the Council of Foreign Relations in New York, that started staring down this problem a while ago, at least 10 years ago. And if people out there don't think that actually happened, and then weave these threads together with a bunch of other useful idiots just like me and Vlad, then you're stupid. You're a kid if you don't believe that happened, because that freaking happened. And it's continuing to happen. So the question is, will sidechains ever happen? What does it require? BIP 300, a soft fork, a hard fork? Do you think any of that is realistically going to happen now? And if it does, it'll be happening in a way that is sufficiently neutered, such that we're still handicapped. Meanwhile, all the DeFi boys are running ahead and making this happen so they can launch their new token. Meanwhile, we're all just sitting here hodling with our nuts in our hand, staring into what? The floor? It's a real pickle, Vlad. It's like, where do we go from here, man? This is what I'm trying to understand. Is it drive chains? Will drive chains happen? What do you think?
So I think they will happen, but it's a matter of how. If we do enable covenants, you can create these two-way pegs and code them in a way that allows miners to create drive chains, but strips users of some protections that drive chains would enable with BIP 300. So you can have some of that, but it's gonna be more inclined towards trust. I think that's a good first step to prove if there is market demand for this, because at the same time, drive chains find themselves in this paradox where, on one hand, there's no demand for them because people who use Ethereum features want to gamble on the Ethereum tokens. And on the other hand, if it gets too successful, it can become a threat for Bitcoin because one of these sidechains can be dominant and have more economic activity, and it's going to pervert the incentives of miners to collect fees from these sidechains first. So there's this conversation that's being had, but it's never something reasonable where it has a degree of success and it has some users that prefer this over liquid. It's always one of these two extremes that it's never going to take off because people prefer to use an altcoin and another base layer, or it's becoming so successful that it's going to be a threat for the Bitcoin base layer. And these are the main points of criticism. But usually it's not something in the middle that says maybe there will be a few thousand users and they're going to find this useful for themselves. And maybe that it solves the problem. And theoretically, if we ever need to onboard an entire nation state whose currency is failing, you can do it instantly on one of these sidechains as opposed to waiting for, I guess, a few months for everyone to open their Lightning channel or for their low fee transactions to confirm. It's not very reasonable, and it's not reasonable to not expect these people to go to Litecoin or Tether on Tron or BCH or Dash or whatever gets advertised as being fast and reliable. Because honestly, memes are nice about Bitcoin being superior, but at the same time, technologically speaking, this is all software. And Bitcoin needs to also be technologically superior. It's not just about community and narratives and the advantage of being the first one, the Immaculate Conception. It should also
Exactly.
back this up with actually superior code.
Exactly. Because what we need is much momentum behind one clearing layer as possible. That's why I took Ethereum off the marketplace. That's what I've been saying since the very beginning. As a business person, you understand the power of momentum. You want to focus all of that P2P in one place so it blows up. People get it and it's moving. Now we're going to, hey, fragment it across Bitcoin, BCH, Litecoin, Tether on Tron, and all these other options. And then we are left exposed because it's going to diffuse the momentum. That's a huge loss in business. It's huge. It'll set us back 10 years. And we don't have 10 years. We have 6 years in my estimation. Don't ask me why. Beyond out of scope. And I don't want to be a loser, dude. I don't want to lose. At this point, losing is unacceptable. I refuse to lose because the whole universe is on the line here. It really is, man. Humanity is being tested right now every single day. They want us to accept our children's genitals being chopped off at the behest of their public school teacher. They want us to accept children being blown up and, oh, it's fine. Don't say anything about it. Don't show any empathy or you're a terrorist and a criminal. We're being tested on every level right now. And the one bright spot that we had was Bitcoin. Peer-to-peer electronic cash, freedom money for everybody. And instead we got this cute little rock here, pet rock, kind of like gold. Billionaires like it. It's nice. Why don't you get someone and just hold on to it? And just hold on to it. Don't do anything else with it. And don't touch any of those shit coins either. But hey, people are, and they're losing their money. And no one can actually do what we got into this business to do. And just shut up, stay quiet, eat in your pod, eat those insects, own nothing, except maybe some dust of some Bitcoin, which you can't use on a Lightning channel somewhere. And it's all A-okay. Don't stick your head out. Don't stick your nose out, or we'll make some nasty memes of you on Twitter, and you'll get canceled. It's disgusting. And it just dawned on me completely, the full scope of it. You got to admit, the dark side works in ways that are long timelines, minimum 20-year timelines. And they kind of took it from us. And they want us all to just accept it. Question is, what are we going to do right now? Honestly, Bitcoiners, I don't want to hear anyone calling anything else shitcoin right now. Because these fuckers have essentially
Ray, are you still there? For some reason he froze. I think my connection is stable. His not so much. I'll wait for him to come back. In the meantime, until he comes back, you guys let me know in the chat if you can hear me and everything is fine and I'm moving, even if I look like Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yeah, he left. I guess I need to cast a shadow towards the lens of my camera to not appear this bright. Anyway, until he comes back, which he will because he has a lot of stuff to mention, check out Satodyne. This is how you turn your Bitcoin into cash. It's not Bitcoin Cash, but I think it works with BCH if you want to make it work with that, even though I don't recommend it. How do you gift someone some Bitcoin? You buy one of these cards for about $25 from satochip.io. You load it up and you give it to someone, just like this. It's scalable on a local level. It's peer-to-peer, meaning that you actually hand it to someone, and it looks cool. And if you want to use this, you have to unseal it, and there will be physical signs that it has been unsealed. You can use it with NFC, so you can tap it on your phone to check the balance. It's pretty cool. It's like the open source version of the Open Dime, except that you can have a cool design on it. It's called the Sato Dime. You can get it from satochip.io. And if you use promo code BTCTKVR, which stands for Bitcoin Takeover, you can get 5% off on your purchase. And I also want to promote my friends from CryptoSteel. They make these metal plates which are very durable. What I have here is the CryptoSteel capsule. And as you can see, you can store any sort of password that you want. Right here I have my Nostr private key, which I keep on my desk very conveniently. Basically, everyone who comes into my room can read this and post as me on Nostr, which I don't think has any economic value, but I use this as a demo. You put these letters with these tiles inside of the capsule and you lock it up, and it can resist fire and floods and earthquakes, and it's a very cool form factor. You can get this one for about $80 if I'm not mistaken, but you get a 10% discount with promo code BTCTKVR. So cryptosteel.com, you can get one of these to protect your private keys, your important passwords, your BIP39 seed phrase, or anything else that you think is important for yourself to store your keys. And Ray is back. Now he's from Ray's phone. It seems like his computer died or something. Maybe his laptop ran out of battery. Hi Ray, it's good to see you again. I don't hear you. I think you're muted.
Yo, sorry about that. I got disconnected. Maybe it was for the best. Because everything that I said after that point, bro, would have surely got me canceled. As in the Men in Black would have come in here, bro. So I was saved by the Lord. And that's good.
The dark forces did not want you to complete your sentence.
This is also a distinct possibility, my good man. But I'm not going to let that stop me, man. Let me just say it again, bro. We've been outplayed. And it came at us from a very, very wide scope from many different angles. So we've got to put our thinking caps on right now. And we shouldn't be afraid to be vocal. Because if we just take this line down, we've truly lost. We'll be humiliated in the worst possible way. We got to go down swinging, man. And there's people on our side. Even Jameson Lopp is looking around and he's like, my God, despicable. The entire CivKit team, a lot of core developers, most of with us, the vast majority. We just have a small group that is constantly resorting to violence, choosing violence every single day, choosing bullying. It's not cool. Don't appreciate what happened to Roger Ver. You did not deserve that. And if they keep up with these kinds of tactics, they're just going to make a lot of enemies, man. And we will take this thing back by hook or by crook. We are going to finish the mission of freedom money.
I'm not sure if you froze again or something else happened.
Is it?
Oh, you're back. You're back.
Okay. Well, how about you do some talking here, Vlad? Since I seem to be skipping in and out, the internet went out of my place. But brother, I'm not going to back down from this thing, and none of us can back down. This is not the time for us to retire slowly into the night. We really have to take a stand here, and everyone has to understand what's actually happening. It's quite complex to explain. But if someone was coming into Bitcoin right now, what would you tell them? The price is high. I believe it's going to go higher. All of this buying pressure from the ETFs and all this stuff will go over 100K. But as for the next 6 years, I cannot make that promise. They can literally, they'll have us at their mercy. And these people show no mercy. The free market will clearly not be at play anymore. They will have the lion's share of the liquidity. And it won't just be all of these various exchanges all over the world that they'll have to scamper out to control or shut down. They'll be able to do so from a central advantageous position. And at that point, I don't think anything can be promised. Would you agree?
Yes, and I do have to ask you something, Ray, because obviously you have some very good storytelling and salesman skills. You mentioned during this episode that you would be able to make a living selling shoes, and I very much believe that. And I think you have much more charisma than many of the centralized exchange CEOs right now. I guess if you decided at one point along your journey to create something like Binance or like Bitfinex or I don't know, Kraken, you could be just as big as they are. But your focus was not on building these businesses, which are custodians. You wanted to build something that empowers the users to hold their own keys, which is why you built P2P marketplaces. And you started with a project with which you're
Yeah.
not affiliated anymore, and I'm not gonna give it any more publicity. And right now you're doing a much better technical implementation on the same vision, the same concept. And my question for you is, why do you hate money so much? Don't you want to get rich? Don't you want to ride in your Lambo or Supra or your yacht or whatever? And why do you want to help my girlfriend, for example? She's from Iran. Iran is in a very unpleasant geopolitical situation right now. I wouldn't want to live there, and I can't even go there if I wanted to because there are no more flights. So these people are in a financial embargo, they're isolated from the rest of the world, and they can use your tech, I guess, to compete with you at a local level if they want to use Bitcoin. And you're building stuff like this for people like that instead of getting rich. What's wrong with you?
Yes, you sound like my mother, bro. But you're right. Look, I do like money because I want to have good tools, and I want to build cool stuff. I need money to do that. But I drive a Mini Cooper. I live quite humbly. I don't want any Lambos. Some guy drove up here with a Lambo. Nice guy, but they're not for me. What really gets my rocks off is accomplishment. I want to accomplish things. I want to have impact. And I chose the fight that will give me the most impact in the world. That excites me. And I thought I had a whole group of people with me that believed in the same thing, which would give me the cover to be able to accomplish that. And now I'm seeing that is not the case. I just had a bunch of money grubbing morons that if they were in my position, they say, fuck all this shit. I'm just going to make all that money. Okay. Well, look, there's still a lot of good people out there. I'm not going to change my mission. But I am going to adjust on the Bitcoin only thing because clearly they don't respect or appreciate that. So as far as like building another Binance or Kraken, I want to build a brand that's even bigger than all of them. And more than a brand, I want to build the first successful network state. We're in the era of the network state right now. And the nation states, the G20, unipolar.
You cut off again. You were talking about the network state.
Yeah, sorry about that. Someone tried to call me. The first network state was Facebook. They tried to launch a payment system to truly become a network state. It was called Libra. It got shot down. It got shot down by people bigger than corporate greed. They weren't going to let it happen. They have to keep the golden goose. And even one of their boys, Facebook, they wouldn't allow that to happen. So Facebook got snipped. That network state never took off in a way that could challenge the nation state, the unipolar nation states, the G20. Then a second one came along by a Canadian Chinese fellow that, had this huge flow of cash and used that to buy up all these resources and other brands. And then his wallet started to become really useful internally because he had 120 million, 120 million. Anytime anyone gets over 100 million, the nation states get nervous. Oh man. Oh, and he added peer-to-peer too, which he ripped off of me, but so what? I ripped it off of local Bitcoins. And then he's like, fuck, this guy's universal wallet and a peer-to-peer exchange. We got to shut. He's going to become a network state. We're going to let this Chinese guy become a trillionaire? No way. Now he's in Seattle waiting sentence. You know what they say? Third time's the charm, right? NoOnes will be that third successful network state. And I'm decentralizing as a matter of survival. Because the mistake CZ made is he didn't leave enough money on the table. He wanted to centralize all that control. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let anyone come in and compete with me. Because I believe that if we come in and we start building and we're all incentivized to build across every possible vector, if there's money on the table, if everyone eats, we'll grow even faster. We'll put 1 billion young people to work. I aim to get 1 billion engaged users, citizens, in the next 6 years. I'm going to do that, God willing, inshallah, with NoOnes. And NoOnes will be built on CivKit and all the decentralized bits out there. Bitcoin will remain a tool in that repertoire, but it will not remain the sole tool. They pretty much corner that off. That is not a fruitful path going forward. They're not going to give us what we need, and they can yell and scream all they want. But clearly that's not going to happen. So my aim is to get NoOnes generating more cash than Binance, Kraken, Coinbase, all of them did on their heyday. And I'm going to give 50% of it away back to our community. And we're already doing that now, which is amazing. It's leading to unparalleled growth. And I'm going to do a lot more. Once I have some real cash flow, I'm going to start buying up telcos so we cannot be dislodged. And if the prime driver of true decentralization is going to be in my hands, and so be it, man. I'll take it. That's what I've been doing. But let me tell you guys out there, you know why you can trust me and you can't trust any of these other guys? What is it about Ray that you can trust? Is my funny haircut? No, I'm a real person, and everything I do for the people. And you know what the best proof of that is? It's not that I've never, lost anyone's money, all of this. It's not even that I've been completely transparent, like what happened in my old company, and even now putting my entire CEO dashboard for NoOnes for the public. You know what the real sign is of someone that you can trust? I swear to you, this is it. From all my years of experience and from all my wisdom. And some people are going to, I speak out for the oppressed, especially for those that no one wants to be spoken out for. Like those babies being killed in Gaza right now. I have a fucking heart. I'm not doing it for virtue signaling. Believe me, it's costly. I'm doing it because it's the right thing. Because I fear God above all. I don't care what people think of me. I never will. Humans are fickle creatures with very short attention spans, and they forget quite easily. I build my karma with the best of bankers and the best game designer of them all, with God. People are shaking their heads. I can feel, cringe. If you feel that's cringe and you think I'm lying, you know what that makes you? A weak loser. I'm a strong winner. I fear God, and everything I do is to build that karma for the reward that's waiting for me in the next life. But guess what? I'm going to get it in this life too. Everything I ask for, I don't ask for it in this life, just this life. I ask for it in the next life as well. I'm going to get both. I intend to win this thing no matter what. And yes, I'm going to focus more on the money right now, bro. I'm going to add a spot exchange. I'm going to add everything and get that cash flow going. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get half of it back. And with the other half, I'm going to grow. I'm going to make sure that money gets to the people that can build the best solutions to actually deliver us freedom money. And if anyone has a problem with that, well, they can take it up with me personally, but I don't throw poop on Twitter. You want to come after me, you better realize that's going to mean meeting me in real life. All 2 meters of me, of ripped, bristling, striation on striation muscle tone, with fists of steel, knuckles made to be ballistic pain. No, I don't mean it like that. I'm actually a nice guy. But we're eventually going to meet. So be nice, and I'll be nice. I'm going to be civil throughout this whole process. Us good guys will always be classy, but we will hold our ground. We're not just going to back off and capitulate. What are you going to do? You're not going to give me your VC money? Never took it. Don't want it. I'm good. I don't brag about my money, but I'm good. And if I have to do this all myself, I will. Because I'm all the way Ray. That's the way it's got to be, bro.
Oh man, you cut a promo there. It's like one of these pro wrestling.
That's right.
Yeah, you unleashed your inner Hulk Hogan.
That's right,
Wait,
bro. I'm pumping up.
pump up again so I can make people see you. Wait,
Bro,
wait,
you
wait,
can't
wait.
see
I
it,
have
man. Here. This is the full. Oh man, I gotta take off my shirt, bro. Maybe next time, though.
you have to rip it off. That's the way you do it.
No, man, I'm not ready to rip it off yet. Bro. It's a nice shirt, man. Don't worry. Just let me just pack on some more slabs of rock solid lean muscle. Got my myostatin injectables in here. Don't you worry, my friend. Super Soldier Serum is on the way. But let me make it clear. You're not going up against some Silicon Valley dude, little skinny dorky kid in a suit. You're going up against full hunk of man. The Uber Chad. You know why? Because I stick to my principles. Keep it classy. That's all you got to do to be a man. Defend your boundaries. That's what warriors do. We defend our boundaries. And it's very clear the boundary has been crossed right now. So I'm going to hold this line. Whoever's with me, you come join me. Get an account on NoOnes. Support us as we build out on CivKit. Spread the word and copy my moves. I want everyone to copy my moves. Everyone eats. Bullish education, revolutionary transparency. Those are the values that I live by. And we're going to completely flip the script on its head. And we're going to make a lot of money doing so. And everyone's going to copy that example. And it'll be a much better example than Binance, who just wanted to centralize power and keep all the money for himself. We're going to show the world even more success along those lines. And all those great men that came before us that tried to actually give the world freedom money for their own nation, for their own regions, they all paid a terrible price. They paid with their lives. They either had to kill themselves or were brutally slain for the entire world to see. We have a chance now to finish their work and to do so in a way that diffuses risk in this asymmetrical game that we're playing against the dark side, this Game of Thrones. Peer-to-peer is the way forward. They wanted to take the proof of work out of Bitcoin and they couldn't. Their little green FUD and all these tactics failed. Satoshi's incentives held strong. Now they're trying to take the peer-to-peer out of it. Hey, forget that self-custody. Custody with all of these chosen entities here. It'll be fine. You can trust us. But we won't have peer-to-peer electronic cash anymore. Well, we're bringing the peer-to-peer back in a way that they cannot take. We will complete the peer-to-peer revolution, ladies and gentlemen. It will not be televised, but maybe it should be because it's a hell of a show. And it's happening all across the streets of the global south right now. Those of you that like to repeat the line, oh, the market has chosen, you lost. Let me tell you, things can move very fast on the streets of the global south. People can switch to things real quick. Do you know there's a bunch of Nigerian peer-to-peer traders that made Tether on Tron a thing? Yes. Things can move that fast. New trends can emerge, especially with enough weight behind them, enough influence. Believe me. The machine is not as powerful as you think it is. The people are far more powerful. I'm beginning to see this now. So you guys, you have my word. I'm going to be working my hardest to make this happen, but I need your support. Advocate for me, for the projects that I work with. Advocate for people like Vlad. Don't be afraid to get up there and defend the people that are being attacked, because it's very important you do that. If you think your voice doesn't matter, you're wrong. It does matter. The bad guys get off on making all of this background chatter and noise that scares everyone. Oh no, don't say look what they did to that guy. When they do that, you battle back and you take them down. No one's a hero. If you're talking bullshit, you're fucking out. You want to be real mean and nasty about it, you just expose yourself as trash and call them that. Just throw it out there. They're coming at you 100%. You come at them 100% as well. Not 50% because you want to remain unbiased and no. Hit them as hard as they hit you. That's how battles are won. And defend those that are standing up for the truth. The truth does not fear investigation. And anything that they're going to cancel you for even questioning, well, you know it's a lie. And not just a lie that has to be torn down, dismantled. And anyone that held it true, utterly broken, humiliate them. With rhetoric, with logic, with real words, not with silly, spineless little attacks online. We don't need that shit, gentlemen. We're men. So let's stand up like men and take this thing back, one response at a time. I promise you I will be doing my part, building on the ground, and we will have victory. We will not give up peer-to-peer. Peer-to-peer electronic cash started with a white paper, got some code, which, by the way, the first version of Bitcoin Core had full marketplace functions in there. Satoshi actually wanted to build a full-on marketplace into Bitcoin. He just didn't have the time to do it. There were 11 opcodes in there that had inventory, escrow, just like eBay. All that was taken out. No mention was made of it. We're trying to bring it all back with CivKit. So we're going to finish the job, no matter what. I ask for your support. But let me tell you, with or without anyone, I'm going to do this. Even if I have to do it myself, which I know sounds crazy, but I've got a great team. I've got plenty of resources, which I'm willing to use to deliver the peer-to-peer revolution by any means necessary. Believe that.
That was
Get all
really
that?
good.
Thank you.
If you ever want to sponsor my podcast, I can just take snippets from what you said and make these powerful ads and make them sound like Macho Man Randy Savage or something. Someone in the chat even said that you look like Blanca from Street Fighter 2.
Bro, he's my hero, man.
The one with electricity, you know?
You're the green Brazilian dude, man. I love that guy, bro. I've been thinking of dyeing my chest hair orange. Yeah, bro. Someone just read my mind.
I like that you're a video gamer. And I also know that you funded, or at least sponsored partially, the development for Hero of Bitcoin. I think that's very cool of yourself.
Bro, I'm going to be making a lot more donations to NoOnes for all of these. In fact, I'm actually setting up a fund, a NoOnes Labs kind of thing. I'm putting 10 million in there myself, and for funding a lot of the things that need to be funded. Because one of the reasons we lost is because we just don't spend money. We lost so much talent. We lost so much because we're being cheap and we're not thinking strategically. And that's why we got left behind, bro. So it's time to come and grab all that shit. If you're listening to this and you want to join up with a winner, a real general on the battlefield that is not going to back down under any circumstances, you find a way to me. And I'll put you to work. You hear?
But the question is, and people in the chat are asking this, you're not going to be BTC only from now on, and you're going to enable this P2P revolution with something else. What's that something else going to be?
Whatever the streets ask for. If our users say, hey, add Ethereum again, and add Solana, and add this and add that, I'll be like, all right. They want to ask for BCH, I'll be like, all right. They want to add Lightning, whatever the streets ask for. I'm not going to deny it for them again because I don't want them to get scammed. It's pretty clear we've all been scammed. So there you go. I'm always transparent. You want to hate on me and call me a shit corner for that? Well, you go ahead and do that. I don't care what you do. Go get a job. All right. That's it.
Well, I see this as useful blackmail, you know. It says, make Bitcoin work for this use case, or we're not going to use it anymore, which is fair. To be honest, it's super fair. Why should you try to turn something into what it's not designed to be anymore?
Exactly. They shifted over, and hey, I was Bitcoin only not because I wanted to pump my bags, but because I thought, this was actually the thing that the people needed, and I wanted as much momentum with as few little distractions as possible behind the one real solution. That's why I did it. I didn't have maxi derangement syndrome. I've always been an optimalist. I want to optimize our chances for success. And if that means being behind Bitcoin solely, then I did that. And I held it down for longer than anyone. But right now, you've even got these toxic maxis telling me, hey, Ray, why don't you just use BCH? Like, really? We're going to go back to that? Well, fine. I'll support everything the people ask for. There you go. Useful blackmail, whatever you want to call it. This is what you all asked for. So, hey, you guys just didn't appreciate what you had. Now you lost it. And no, I won't be calling you again.
But I have to ask you, there are some people out there, probably also in the chat or listening to this, and they will say, there's nothing wrong with removing self-custody and using Lightning custodial wallets. Like, wallet of Satoshi, Blue Wallet, whatever. And they don't pay any significant fees to use that, but at the same time it's risky. They can swap it for on-chain. They're gonna have to pay the on-chain fee whenever they want to do that, but it's credit that they have to exchange. But you're not willing to compromise on self-custody, and you want every user to have control of the funds at every step. I think that's a different philosophy that they refuse to understand, for the simple reason that the whole goal that they're trying to push is to be Bitcoin only. And how can you do that but paper Bitcoin? That's the only way to accomplish it right now.
Exactly. I mean, they forced us all into this position. It's like, you know, no one can deny that my heart has always been in the right place. You know, I'm not perfect, but I am one of the good guys. I'm really one of the good guys. No matter what price, I'll always stand for the oppressed, and I'll always try to do the right thing. I'm an honorable man. And if you guys keep going on like this, you're going to lose a lot of these honorable people. We're going to find other things to do with our time, other platforms to support. So you better check yourselves.
Before you wreck yourselves.
What?
Check yourself before you wreck yourself.
I've been talking about fuck around and
hip-hop.
find out, man. Now these guys are basically, it's like, you know, we've got like not just enemies in the camp, but like these are the people that are going to be tattling on us. Hey, Mr. DOJ, look at those jerks over there. They're actually still thinking they can do this P2P thing. Go after them, not us. We're the good little, you know, you know, ETF boys over here, or whatever you want to call it. That's what's going to happen, man. We just have these people that are going to be tattling on us, shitting on us, fighting for the souls of the plebs. And now we're again back to fighting for every soul. That's where we're at, man. Yikes, bro. It's down to another dog fight. But I'm just going to build on everything.
I also don't like this pleb terminology. It just implies that someone is better than you and you're supposed to accept that someone else is better than you. You're just a pleb. You're not supposed to work on yourself, to improve yourself, to increase your reputation, to boost your status. In some way, you're just a pleb. I don't know. There's a guy who seriously, he's from Romania. I speak with him sometimes. He tells me Bitcoin is feudalism. And it was designed to be as such. And if you believe something else, you're gonna end up rage quitting because there's nothing that's going to change. It's this. So I was going to say before we started recording that I'm gonna get canceled for saying this, but without proper scaling, this is nothing but a pyramid scheme where the sooner you enter, the better experience you're going to have because you pay lower fees, you consolidate your UTXOs, and by the time you sell it, you're not supposed to ever sell it, but honestly, everyone's going to sell at one point. By the time you do that, you're gonna afford it. You're gonna say, oh, it's just 0.0001 BTC. It's a lot of money for the rest of the world, but for me, at the time when I bought it, it was nothing and I earned my profits. I'm gonna sell this and it's cool. But someone else who enters will not afford to make any transaction, or maybe that it will be a significant amount of their bag. So they're gonna have to think twice before making any sort of transaction, or they're going to join on some second layer, which is centralized. And if we don't figure out any way to do decentralized layer 2s, or at least trust minimized layer 2s, it's gonna be horrible because everyone gets a much worse user experience where you sacrifice censorship resistance and you sacrifice the ability to not have your transactions confiscated, not transactions, your holdings, your money confiscated for the convenience of low fees and for maybe a degree of privacy and scalability. I mean, of course, you can get those with Fedimints, but is this really why we are here in the first place? And it makes me think a lot because I like Obi, I like Eric Serion, the guy who coded Fediment. I had them on the show. I say hello to them when I see them at conferences, but at the same time, I'm questioning their mission. I realize that they figured out how to do banking in this new world. They create a bona fide bank and they allow anyone to create their own bank, just like you, Ray. But in their case, there is no self-custody. There is no scenario where the user holds the coins. It's just federations of servers, and they are the key holders, and they're the ones who decide what happens and when they rug pull everyone. It's just not why I got into Bitcoin. It makes me question my degree of involvement, and it also scares me a bit because I realize I've worked all of these years. I promoted this project and I told everyone it's hope for a better future, but then you realize that you end up with that situation, and it's really not what I was hoping for.
It's absolutely not what any of us were hoping for. You know, you think about it, it's so simple. It's like the more precious something is, the less you're going to be enticed to use it as a medium of exchange. I mean, it's been a war against medium exchange from the very beginning. Ever since Hodl got co-opted and all this stuff. I mean, just looking back, you know, hindsight is 2020. It's like, wow, they will do anything to keep this from being a medium of exchange because it will threaten the US dollar, and this is how they've done it. And for those of you that are really smart, you can probably see, you know, how those intertwining threads of deception got woven into this anti-P2P tapestry that we're dealing with right now. And this big old magical rug of deception is just kind of it's like taking us on this magic carpet ride somewhere else to the land of capitulation. So in that sense, Bitcoin has been hijacked. Absolutely. I don't want to sit here and argue about big blocks and all this rubbish. It's clear to anyone with a mind what has happened now. And look, I think FediBint is a great project. CivKit will use pieces of it, definitely. But in the end, if that's the solution we're coming up with, hey, we'll just make a bunch of credit unions. People will, you know, manage it themselves. And this whole peer-to-peer thing, well, it was a nice idea, but this is the way that things have to be right now. And we know where all of these guys are getting their money, from these Silicon Valley dudes. They're beholden to the machine. That's how these boards are structured. No one of these guys is going to get up with the balls to say, no, it's going to be this way. Why do you think Binance took off so fast? Well, he's a total tyrant CEO, and that's good. The accountability was with him, so he pushed it through real hard. And I'm a similar kind of character. I answer to no one. Answer to no one's. I truly do. And that's scary to some people. But, man, that's the way it's going to be, man. I've got nothing else to do. No one's going to hire me. But no one's did hire me. So I'm going to finish the work, man. It's going to be fun. I don't care what comes at me, bro. And I got your back, Vlad. And I got the back of everyone else out there. We're going to keep it classy, but we're going to defend our boundaries. You see exactly where we're at right now. Looking back, we know exactly how we got here. So it's up to us to put our heads together and figure out a path forward and support each other. Because I want to win. I will not accept losing under no circumstances.
Yeah, and I don't know how far people are going to get into listening to this interview, but I also want to point out a full disclaimer that Bitcoin maximalism makes sense to the extent that you present this as the most secure network that has the best network effect, the largest number of users, has the fairest distribution, and was developed in a time when nobody thought it was going to be worth anything. So there's merit to it. There are reasons that you should use it because it's the fairest kind of money that we have. And it's also the most secure network, most resilient, the one that they can't shut down. But it doesn't mean that they can't politically co-opt. And it doesn't mean that in its current design is the best one for P2P marketplaces, for everyday transactions, for something that people want to use conveniently at low fees and fast confirmation times. And I wrote an article a few years ago in which I explained that Bitcoin is not slow, it's very secure. But the question that matters here is how much do people care about the security and the finality of their transaction when they want to buy some sort of, I guess, iTunes voucher, or what do you call it? Gift card? Do they really care about the thermodynamic security behind it? Are they willing to wait for 6 confirmation or something? Or do they just want to have an instant swap? And there is a degree of trust involved, but at least everyone is holding their own keys and is responsible for whatever they do. There is no custodian in the middle. So there is a lot of nuance here, and I do agree, I still consider myself a Bitcoin maximalist, but in this definition, I just want Bitcoin to succeed in its original plan. And in your case, as a business person, you're allowing the free market to decide what they want to use for payments. And I think that makes sense, because if you limit their options, they're going to go some other place where they find these options. So in a sense, as a business person, you should try to be amoral and not have any sort of moral system imposed and just follow the market trends, because that's what's going to get you to the network state level that you want to establish. And I hope the people listening understand the nuance here, because you can call us out, you can cancel us on Twitter, but you're not going to solve any real world problem with that. And there's a lot that you can do with Bitcoin, but also some stuff that you cannot at this point.
Yeah. You know, it's very interesting. If there's one thing I've learned in my job in peer-to-peer, finance for the past 10 years and peer-to-peer startups in general for the past 24 years, it's that the resistance to peer-to-peer is ultimately what defines corruption. I propose we make a new corruption index where we will rate countries, nation states, on their opposition factor to peer-to-peer. And that will determine how corrupt they are. If you take Nigeria right now, they were arresting, crypto CEOs in the street. They specifically targeted peer-to-peer. They rank pretty high up there on the corruption index. And that makes sense because they rank pretty high in other corruption indexes. But you know who's number one by a country mile on the anti-peer-to-peer corruption index? It's the United States and the entire G20. They're the guys that hijacked this whole narrative and pulled this shit on us. They are the most corrupt nation in the world, the entire West. Their opposition to peer-to-peer it's in their DNA. I know the reason I left, I wanted out of the whole, U.S. Market is because the United States 6 years ago, I noticed, was specifically targeting peer-to-peer traders. Local Bitcoins, I think 50 of their traders got arrested in the United States. Why? Because they were selling some Bitcoin or crypto for bank transfers. They tried to put one guy and his wife in jail for 35 years each because he sold $1,000 worth of Bitcoin for a bank transfer to his wife's account. That makes the United States the most corrupt region in the world. And this entire toxic, narrative that has ossified Bitcoin, hijacked Bitcoin, it ain't coming from Russia. It ain't coming from China. It ain't coming from Africa. It ain't coming from Latin America. It ain't coming from Southeast Asia, folks. It came from the West. It's pretty clear what's going on. Question is, what are you going to do about it? I intend to win by any means necessary. I've already said this. It's pretty clear. So I hope you all get the message. I want to make it happen myself. Whoever wants to help me, come on down. Vlad, what's up, bro? Do you have a plan, bro? Because you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, a lot harder and a lot stronger. And I invite everyone that really wants to join me, all the good guys, to really come together and get each other's backs. All of these clowns that keep saying, oh, Bitcoin is God, and Bitcoin doesn't care. Bitcoin is for enemies. These are literally the stupidest people in the world. You fucking morons. Don't you see what's happening? If you have the mind of a child, then shut up. Call these fools out, clear the air. People, grown men and women with a real head on their shoulders that are actually trying to build to help people. Speak up. Be a lot louder. If you have to be a bit toxic, whatever that means to you, if speaking out and making a retweet you consider too aggressive, well, then you're a fucking loser too. I only want lions with me on this journey. You need to be a lion to win. So be based, speak out. Defend the oppressed. Defend the Bitcoin revolution with a capital B. Not your little itty bitty B, little pet rock that you've got your 20K sitting in and you hope it'll turn into 100K. Man, you're honestly no different than a bunch of Shibu Inu, gamblers right now, honestly, if you can't see what's happened. If that hurts some people's feelings, y'all want to cancel me, you go right ahead, you fucking clowns. I don't care what you think of me. I never cared what anyone thought of me. Why do you think I got into this business? Come on. I love a challenge. If you're in peer-to-peer right now, you're in the biggest challenge inflection point humanity has ever seen. If that doesn't turn you on, you're a weakling. You're dead already. Get turned on, defend your ground, be based, be proud, and just laugh at all these clowns, man. It feels good to be a man, and we need men right now. You hear?
You asked me what my plan is. I'm planning to do more of these interviews, honestly, and just get real people and do my job the way that I know how to do it. And the people who canceled me were not listening anyway. I realized that my numbers did not drop. Maybe a handful of them stopped listening because they thought I promote something which is vile and I endorse Roger in ways that I actually don't, because I disagreed with him a lot during the interview. And I said, I disagree, but I'm not going to fight you right now because it's pointless. We're not going to change each other's mind. I was just trying to understand to which extent he's interested to join Bitcoin and maybe pull some levers, push some people to improve stuff, because he's very good at that. He's very, very manipulative and good. And I don't think this is going to destroy Bitcoin. I mean, to some people, the store of value is everything, and they say, don't fuck with the money, don't touch this, don't mess up our golden goose, or the goose that lays golden eggs. I don't know how the story goes. It's been such a long time ago.
It's basically don't piss off Fink anymore. Don't piss off Mr. Fink, man. Massive.
No, and especially, I think this whole ordinal inscription situation has opened up a new dimension in Bitcoin. You have all of these degens who decide to do something that has been done before with rare pepes and has been done previously with people. So there's something going as far as 2012 or 2013 with people putting WikiLeaks documents into Bitcoin blocks. So it's not like this was not possible. It's just that someone figured out how to use SegWit and Taproot, which are soft forks activated on Bitcoin, to make it even less data intensive, to compress it into something more efficient. And it's beautiful. But at the same time, you had people telling you, no, don't use it. It's permissionless, but you're not supposed to use it like this. There are still crusaders who want to censor the ways in which you can use Bitcoin. And it's poetic to some extent, because some people lost their minds over this while they paid no attention to something bigger that's happening. I'm not sure if it's hijacking. I'm not sure if it's taking control over the narrative. But it's depressing to see how people tell me, Vlad, you're stupid, you're poor, and I trust Michael Saylor because he has money and you don't. And that's the ultimate argument to which there's no way I can win this. They're gonna say, you're not as rich as he is, you're not as successful, nobody talks about you in the same way, which means you're wrong. And this guy is right because he's rich. And this is how we get to proof of stake, by the way. We appeal to the wealthiest of authorities and we say this guy has the most BTC and is also rich himself. He's living this yacht lifestyle. So if we listen to him, of course, everyone's going to get to that level, right? It's stupid.
It's funny, bros. I met Michael Saylor, and I like Mike. I met him in Washington, D.C., and we just had a walk around the park. He had a Diet Coke. I was just listening to him. And he left me with one bit of advice. He said, hey, Ray, I advise you in whatever you're doing to listen to, the presentations of Janet Yellen and these characters and mimic their language. That was his advice. I was like, okay, noted. Well, if I want to keep my head under the radar and not get sniped like the heroes on my wall, that's actually pretty good advice. I'm trying to get that VC money and rise up and just seem like the guy that's trying to liberate the global South while still being in pockets of the banksters. And that's pretty good advice. So I thank Mike for that. Did I stick to that advice? Hell no, man. I'm calling the truth out like I see it, bro. It's gotten me canceled from 2 conferences. I'm pissing people off. I'm calling the shit everywhere, man. And I'm saying we're going to take it all back.
What were the conferences that canceled you?
Well, let's just say I made a presentation in Africa that certain human rights advocates didn't appreciate because I defended the reputation of some of the progressive leaders that they vilified. And I explained why it happened, and they really didn't appreciate me going against the narrative. And some people put a lot of pressure on another really big conference. They were trying to raise money, but man, it's all good. Those guys that run that thing are good guys, and we're friends, and they know an honorable man. So there is resistance everywhere. And most importantly, the man and woman on the street, they hear the words of someone like me, and they're like, this guy's real. He's speaking truth, and he's educating us with every word. He's not just another Silicon Valley suck up. We don't have to suck up to these guys to win. You know, a lot of the reason this happened is people don't really think that humanity can pull this off. They don't really in their hearts believe that we can beat these bad guys and take it all back. They're never going to let us do that. They'll throw us all in jail, or they'll push the button. It can't really happen. Let me just take the blue pill and I'll be good. It's not just possible that we're going to win. It's inevitable. It's going to happen soon. So you either bet on the winning side, or you can be a weak little bitch and play all these mental gymnastics in your head to validate your capitulation to yourself when you look in the mirror and see that flabby vagina that you are speaking to yourself. Pat yourself on the back and say, at least I'll just be a bit better off than those other schleppers. Have fun staying poor. You have no respect for yourself, and I don't have any respect for you either. I'm willing to take risks here, and I'm willing to bet on the winners. I'm a winner. People of the Global South are winners. If you're going to stake your claim with these ratchet, old, shadowy super bankers that got us here in the first place, I don't respect you. You're a punk. Say whatever you want to yourself. When you look in the mirror, you know what you see. You look at me right now, this handsome Egyptian man with the crazy hair, you know what you see. You see a lion in human form, willing to spit the truth. I don't care what anyone thinks of me. I don't care about being poor. My wealth is guaranteed by the person that gave it to me. And that person is, guess what? The guy that created the heavens and the earth and every damn living thing on the planet. And I believe that. You can call me a fanatic, say I believe in fairy tales or old men in the sky. I don't. I just believe in the truth. I believe there's absolute truth, and humanity is good. We're going to win this thing. It's not only likely that we're going to win, we're going to win completely, and it's going to happen very fast. And I promise you, I will be one of those generals on the front lines doing this. Whoever wants to join this party, you better get on this train real quick, you hear? We're watching, and we remember our friends.
So Ray, how can people commit the cardinal sin of selling their Bitcoin on NoOnes?
Simple. Just go there, send the Bitcoin to your NoOnes wallet, put up an offer, or go scan the offers, start a trade, give them your bank transfer details, your mobile money details, tell them where you're after the cash, or however you want to be paid for that Bitcoin. You can do it just like that. And don't worry, it won't affect the price. It's easy to do. Everyone's been doing it right now. You can use my Ray username or Ray CivKit, and you'll get some extra perks and bonuses for doing so. You'll get the best support in the industry on the platform that is the best peer-to-peer platform ever built. And don't you worry, we're going to be adding a spot exchange, contract for difference, FX leverage. We're going to be adding prop trading. We're going to be adding every damn thing. Because that's what the people want. And NoOnes going to be a lot more than just peer-to-peer. It'll be everything, but we're never going to give up on our peer-to-peer roots, not just in the marketplace, but as an ideology. We are in this to complete the peer-to-peer revolution. not just to do some fancy shit with cryptography, guys. We're here to help humans. I have never forgotten that. I do not take lightly my role in this. Believe me, it'd be nice just to be an entrepreneur and build cool shit and maybe do a little acting and design my car and shoes and all the cool stuff I like to do. But hey, if I have to fight this ancient evil that has reemerged, well, I'll do that too. It's okay. I played a lot of RPGs growing up. I know how the game works, and I'm in it for the experience points, and I'm going to take all the side quests too. I'm coming in OP against that last boss to wreck that fool. My hit points, it's just question marks. No one knows. My magic points too. No one knows. I've got level 9 spells, massive buff spells, criticals every single time. I'm not missing. I've got it all, man. I'm coming in there to wreck them with a team like no one's ever seen.
I like those puns. What's your favorite RPG, Ray? Which is the one that has inspired you the most?
I have to say, growing up, I think Final Fantasy II, like the very first one, or the second one, is Final Fantasy II in the States. It was Final Fantasy III in Japan. I really connected to the characters and the storyline of that game, and I beat it like 100 times, man. You know, every inch of that game, man. And when I came in, taking on that last boss, bro, I was so OP, I would wreck that dude. That's the kind of player that I am, man. I'm going in there to dominate the scene.
Oh, you like the grinding.
Yeah, I'll grind, man. I will grind for however long it takes. I'll explore every nook and cranny. I'll find every single hack. I'll fight that optional boss that no one could beat. These are things that turn me on, man. I'm the guy that beat Legend of Zelda with just a wooden sword. I'll beat Halo 1 Legendary with some kind of handicap. I like to overexcel. I like to do that stuff. I like to have impact. I like bragging rights. I'm the guy that came out with the priest profit rush in Age of Empires, man. I wrecked a world champion like that. I didn't read about it. I just figured it out. Now we'll figure out what it takes to win this fight. Because we have to. So here I am. No one else would take the job. So
I have to ask you, Ray, what do you think about the super cycle? I put it on the screen right now. It's an aspirational meme, which so far has been the most accurate price prediction model. I just drew a stupid line on the chart, and it proved to be more accurate than stock to flow and most of this price prediction stuff that's supposed to be mathematical and make sense and be backed by economists saying fancy words. I just put a line there and I said, okay, after this point, it's a good moment to buy one Toyota Supra and get one girlfriend, because you're not supposed to hold onto your coins until they get to 1 million. And by that time, you'll be 60 years old and you will not have accomplished much with your life. The goal here is to move out of your mom's basement and get a girlfriend and a nice car. So I was curious to know what you think about this.
well, bro, I'm not very good with those squilgy numbers and charts, but I think this is it's a work of some kind of genius, obviously. I mean, the Supra as a product and how it resonates with young men in the price range, I actually think you might have hit that perfect, that perfect like little friction zone of where all of this emotion and where this, the bulk of the user community, young men, I think you might have found it, bro. Put your finger right on it. Supra cycle is it, bro. And if we can get some of those hydrogen rotary engines in that Supra, bro, we're good, man. We're good, bro.
I'm not sure if that's possible, but I guess you can do an engine swap if you put more money in it. Right now, the Supra, the latest generation one, is made by BMW, unfortunately, for better and worse. But it's still, I think, 90% of the Lambo at 10% of the Lambo price. And that's how I got to the Supra. And it sounds like the super cycle, which was promoted heavily in the previous bull market. And I think it's beautiful to make fun of previous memes and come up with something that turns out to be more accurate than any other price prediction.
I think you hit it, my good man. I think this will go down in legend, bro. And I'm willing to stake my entire fortune on this Supra cycle.
If you're listening to this Toyota, you know what to do. Send me a Supra. Sponsor my podcast. I want to do season 16 or 17 from a Supra and just film myself recording interviews while driving.
That's
Make that
brilliant.
happen, Toyota.
Bro, I was doing the same thing in the Cobra. As loud as it is, that 7-liter V8, bro. Oh, it was so good, bro. I think that's how we have to do it all, man. We have to take this thing back, bro. Some real man shit, you know? You have my full support. Super, bro.
You have a Colby, uh,
Shelby Cobra,
Shelby Cobra, yeah.
classic car, 65 Shelby Cobra. Was made by Carol Shelby. He took this little English car, the AC Cobra, which is very cute, very beautiful, actually. A little itty bitty toy car, smaller than a Mini Cooper. And this crazy fucking American put a massive 7-liter Ford V8 side oiler in there and created a rocket on a skateboard that became a legend, the most replicated car of all time. I built a replica from it. It's not like a Lambo. It's cost me like $45,000 or something, but a lot of elbow grease. But man, nothing can beat that car, bro. For sheer raw torque and horsepower, American muscle, nothing beats it, brother. That was the greatest car ever made. No question about it.
Serious question, you're a big guy. You're like 6'4". How did you fit into that tiny automobile, which is smaller than a Mini Cooper?
It fits. You'd be surprised. Carol Shelby, the guy that created it, was my height, maybe a few inches taller, actually. So you'd be surprised what you can fit in the Cobra. Real men, even gorillas.
Ray, it was really nice to hear opinions about the current state of Bitcoin, the culture, the P2P markets, and what the markets actually demand outside of the Twitter bubble. It's refreshing to know perspectives that are not featured on Twitter. And you don't see these people, you don't follow them, you don't hear their voices, but they're out there and they're grinding and they're hustling and they're trying to make a better life for themselves. And I think that's one of the primary functions that Bitcoin was supposed to offer, and offers in a smaller capacity due to the high fees and the limited scalability to which we consented to some degree. So, to anyone listening, if you canceled us, think twice about doing that. But it's fine at the same time. It's not like we depend on you for revenue or something. We're not sucking up to any nation state entity. We're not giving up to the number go up function and saying this is fine because we're getting rich. As a matter of fact, I think both of us would be much wealthier if we didn't do any of this and we just had normal jobs or something and just bought Bitcoin. That would be a much more convenient situation. But I also believe that it's the contributions that we make individually, it doesn't matter how big or how small, that add up to the value of this project. And if we spend all our waking hours talking about it, thinking of ways to make it more useful, engaging with trolls and having conversations with people who provide some signal and making them publicly available, I think this also adds up to the value proposition of what this is. Store of value medium of exchange. I think it's only a matter of how you use it and how you can afford to use it at this point. And I'm super grateful that we have these conversations and we have some real rationality that we can bring into discussions. Because if we resort to memes and we only learn about Bitcoin from memes, I can spend all day poking holes and getting blocked on Twitter for it. But it makes no sense. It's not why many of us are here. And if you're gonna say, oh, go to Bcash because you sound like a Bcasher right now, you've lost the plot. And you forgot why we got into this and why we should make this project, which works pretty well, is resilient, has lots of advantages, why we should make it work to the best of its capacity. And what else should I say? Thank you guys for listening. Thank you, Ray, for your time. As I said, I can spend, I guess, 2 days just cutting small portions from this interview and making viral videos or ads or whatever to make you sound like Macho Man Randy Savage promoting Slim Jims in the 1980s. You're that kind of guy, but you're also much better spoken and you make a lot more sense, and the cause that you promote is really admirable. thank you for this, and I hope you'll get canceled more for these opinions so that you can filter out the noise and get the real people, the lions that you seek, to be by your side in this mission. Because it's not easy, it's not supposed to be easy, but I think it's worth it.
Thank you, brother. Same to you, bro. You've been a real lion, standing your ground, you know, going for the truth. It's beautiful, bro. We can't lose people like you, you know. I want you to know that you have my full respect. And you're a legend, bro. You're going to go down like one. Promise you that. And all those other guys listening, all those ossifiers, toxic people, and that's you have to understand, when we're successful, when we are successful, not if, when, it's not going to make you poorer. It's going to make you richer. And it's going to protect the wealth that you have. I promise you that. We're the good guys. We want everyone to win. You're going to trust these guys, these billionaires that are beholden to a state? Where do you think their bank accounts are and their private jets are and their stock listing is? They don't care about you. Just like Michael Jackson said, they don't really care about us. Put your lot in with them, they're going to fuck you. You're going to be the one left holding the bag, wherever that bag happens to be. Stake a claim with us. When we win, and we are winning, you'll be a lot better off. Not just a little bit better off than everyone else. Your quality of life will increase dramatically. But in this current path that we're on, you might very well be a little bit better off than everyone else. But I promise you, your life will get even worse than it is now. So you can either choose a little bit more than the bottom of the barrel, or we can break out of that barrel, build a whole new world for ourselves. There's a lot of geniuses popping up every single day right now. Never seen an explosion of talent the way we're seeing right now. And we've never had technology like we have right now. We just have to get everyone facing in the same direction, or just that small cluster of the right people, those lions facing the same direction. And we will win. And it's people like me that do that. We bring people together. You can tell who the good guys are because we try to bring people together, bring things closer together, not bring things farther apart. This is the side you want to be on. So you might not be flashy billionaires on CNBC every night, but we are the guys that will win this one. And we want everyone along for that party. That includes you. So come on down. We're also a lot more fun than those other guys. We're cool. Promise.
NoOnes.com. Check that out.
Yes, sir. The first successful network state is coming. It will be built. It is coming. And I don't need any VC funds or the blessing of any of, of these shadowy super bankers and their lieutenants. We're just going to do it.